Welcome to Zach's Alter Ego, the podcast where this is just going to be me releasing my brain chemistry into the world, and it's going to be half-baked opinions, half-baked comments. It's going to be things that I don't stand by, I don't die on a hill for, but things I think throughout the day that I just want to put out there and say. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start a 5-minute timer. It's usually going to be 10 minutes of me just yapping about a bunch of random things that I think people can relate to, but I'm really tired today, so we're just going to do 5 minutes starting right now. And what I want to talk about on the first ever episode of this stupid podcast is small talk. I think small talk is ridiculous, and we need to reform the entire thing. It just doesn't make sense. And this is coming from someone who's introverted, when you go and meet someone for the first time, that small talk is such a brutal thing to do because it's just so boring. Like you have to do it, and you have to do it properly. Like you have to make sure you're like respectful and not like over the top and like come across as like some crazy person. So you're like everything about it is just really really dumb. But how else are you supposed to meet somebody and get to know them? You have to small talk. So you see where this collides in my brain. So when I go to parties, and I just recently went to a party and it was awful. Like I had nothing to say. I had nothing to say to nobody. And like I don't have an issue with it, but then it's like you're at a party and I'm just sitting there just kind of twiddling my thumbs, and it doesn't look good. But, I did it anyway. I did small talk. I'm not going to be a menace to society. And I think it's ridiculous. I think somehow, some way, we need to come together as a human species to understand we all hate it. Like, we should either just be better at coming straight forward and be a little bit more crazy, or just, maybe it's a me problem. Maybe I should stay home and not go out and, partake in society. But yeah, it's just dumb. I don't really like it at all. I like talked about the same thing and said the same thing probably 10 times just to find out that's like, yeah, we're just really not clicking. We're not really there. I don't really want to know more about your conversation as much as you don't want to know more about my conversation, but I'm laughing and smiling, fake laughing and smiling. But yeah, small talk's stupid. We should probably abolish it forever. It should be a crime. What else do I want to talk about? Marketing is really hard when you're kind of a scatterbrain. I have a video business, and when I get on calls, I just instantly fold immediately. It's like when I try to sell them on, this huge service that takes up a lot of my time and a lot of years of honing my skills, I'm like, I'll do it for free just so I can not lose them as a client, which is so dumb, but it's really hard for some reason. It's like a skill set that definitely needs to be mastered. But the whole balance of working a career as a corporation versus an entrepreneur is so interesting. A lot of people give people shit for wanting to be an entrepreneur, and that's because it's the dream. It's like, oh, who are you to go chase this and build the new supplement company or something like that? And it's just funny because it's like entrepreneurs is the way the world works. Like if we didn't have entrepreneurs, we don't have jobs because no one's working, no one's creating new things. So it's funny how us as a society just like absolutely like be like, you're bad. Don't start a company. Don't do that. It's bad. And you're like, yeah, okay. I'll just not start something. And then if everybody did that, we wouldn't have jobs. Where was I going with that? I don't really know. We got a minute and 30 seconds left. Let me go into the idea that I had of this whole podcast, just to, just start it off straight. When I was driving home, I was like, I have a bunch of these things I want to get off my chest and say to somebody, but like, I'm not going to go say this to anybody. And oh yeah, this is not me as my personality. This is completely all fabricated. I know I'm just looking at a camera and I'm talking to a microphone. I would never say this stuff in this way to pretty much any other human being. So I feel like it's a fun new segment of podcasting. I can be just this crazy person on this microphone, and then you meet me in person, I'm just like completely different. It's like the opposite of what an influencer is supposed to be. You're supposed to like really kind of know the person. No, not me at all. Like if you meet me in person and say I made like 100 of these and I gained a following of like 500 people, and one of the 500 people came and saw me, and they're like, "Yo, you're Zach from the podcast Alter Ego, right?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's me." I'd be so different. They would be like, "Bro, why are you normal?" Because I'm very normal, but like on this podcast, I'm just gonna let it loose. I don't give a crap. I'm also a Christian, so like I'm trying not to curse. Try not to leave a bad influence on like I don't want to be like 2 years in a career of trying to make funny content online and be like, you know what, I want to do better. I want to go to heaven, and have to retract it later. So I'm just gonna try to keep it nice and family friendly right off the bat. But alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, that was the first podcast of Zach's Alter Ego, the podcast. 5 minutes for today. It's going to usually be 10 minutes. I feel like that's a good yap sesh, but hope you enjoyed.